is the worked out study guide for tomorrow's quiz. You will be taking this on Thursday when you get back from e-learning. So I'm just going to work out how to solve all of these problems so that you have a way to check your work. If you're not sure how to even do the problem, this will give you an idea of how to approach it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first question says a cylinder has a volume of 84 centimeters cubed. What is the volume of a cone with the same radius and height? So what we know about a cone is that a cone equals 1/3 of a cylinder. Right? We've practiced that. We've talked about that. We watched cool videos about that. So if a cone is 1/3 and we know the volume of the cylinder, well then we would just take 84 and divide it by 3. And when we do that, we would get 28 centimeters cubed, and we have that answer right there. So I took the volume that was given and I divided it by 3 because I know that 3 cones makes up a cylinder. Question 2, we have a sphere and they give us the radius. What is the volume to the nearest tenth of a cubic centimeter? Remember, a tenth means 1 decimal place. That also means that our answer will not include the pi symbol. So they give us the formula here. So I'm going to fill in what I know. 4/3 times pi times, and my radius is 2.1, so that's going to be 2.1 cubed. So you will have access to your Desmos calculator tomorrow. So let me show you how you would put that into the calculator. Let me dim this a bit so it shows up on the video, and I will zoom in. So the formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to put 4/3. I'm going to tap next to it so that I can hit times pi times, and then I would do the parentheses, 2.1, close the parentheses, and then I hit this a to the b, and that gives me the option to put 3 as the exponent. And then there's my answer. And it says to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to look here at this 9 and say, oh, I need to round that 7 up to 8. So my answer is going to be 38.8 centimeters cubed, and I will write that down here, 38.8, right? So as long as you get the numbers in the right location, all you have to do is put them into your calculator, and it's right there for you. Okay, that's question 2. Let's go on to question 3. Now we have a square pyramid, right? They want us to find the volume. Find the volume of the square pyramid, picture to the right, show your thinking. Okay, so they give us this formula, 1/3 capital B times H. If you remember, this capital B stands for area of base. And our base happens to be a square. If our base is a square, that means that if this is 9, this is also 9, right? So if I wanted to find the area of the base, 1/3, well, what's 9 times 9, right? To find the area of a rectangle, we would do length times width. If it's a square, it's going to be 9 times 9. 9 times 9 is 81, and then the height is 7, right? So I got this from 9 times 9, because that's the base. So then on my calculator, I'm going to, let's see here, let this adjust. I'm going to clear out my last problem. Maybe I need to make this even darker. Is that better? Oh, there we go. So I'm going to type in 1/3 times, times the 81, because that 9 times 9 is the area of the base, and then times the 7 height, and I get 189. So then I would put here 189 inches cubed. There was no rounding, and it did not say anything about leaving your answer any other way, so there was no rounding there. All right, we have a rectangular pyramid. This time they tell us the volume, and they tell us the area of the base. We have to find the height. Okay, So here, let me scoot this paper. The glare is not great. Okay, so I have the formula here, right? They give me the volume, so I'm going to put this value here. 330 equals 1/3. Remember, this B is area of the base. They tell us the area of the base is 66. So I'm going to multiply that, right? And then times the height. Okay, so I put in the volume that they told me. I put in the area of the base, that's that capital B value, and then I'm trying to find the height. So then I would do, okay, 330 equals, well, what's 1/3 of 66? Well, if I take 1/3 of 66, that's like doing 66 divided by 3. So now I have 22, and I have the H. And then I'm solving for H, so I divide both sides by 22, and I end up with 15 equals H. And again, you can use your calculator for all these steps, okay? So the solution is 15 meters. That's how high the rectangular pyramid is. Okay. All right, number 5. What is the approximate difference between the volume of a sphere and the volume of the cone? Well, difference means to subtract, right? So we're going to find the volume of the sphere, then we're going to find the volume of the cone, and we're going to subtract them. Okay, formulas are here. Formulas will also be on the quiz in this exact same location. Okay, so first let's find the volume of the sphere. So I'm going to write my formula, 4/3 times pi times r cubed. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 4/3 times pi times 3 cubed. So open up my calculator, clear this out, focus a little bit there, ish. Why isn't that focusing? It's trying. Okay, that's a little better. So I have 4/3 times pi times, and I'm going to do 3 in parentheses, and then I'm going to do that to the 3rd power, and I get 113.0973355. Okay, so that's a lot of digits. It does say, does it say round to the nearest 10th? I'm going to tell you, round to the nearest 10th. Okay, so when I round this to the nearest 10th, this 9 here tells me I should round this up 1. So I'm going to have 113.1 centimeters cubed. Now I'm going to find the volume of the cone. So 2 separate problems. And they tell me this volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. So I'm going to put the numbers in, 1/3 times pi times 4 squared times 7. I got the 4 from here, I got the 7 from the height here. I'm going to get out my calculator, and I'm just going to put them in exactly as I see it. So I've got 1/3 times pi times, I'm going to use parentheses, 4 squared. This time I just used a to this 2 because that just means squared. But if it's anything bigger than 2, then you would choose a to the b, and then you put in the number for the exponent. And then I have times 7. So I get this big long number, and again, I'm going to round to the nearest 10th, which is a single decimal point. So I'm going to say, all right, the volume of this cone, did I say comb? Cone is 117.3 centimeters cubed. And they asked for the difference. So none of these numbers make sense yet because I have to subtract these. So I'm going to take the 117.3, subtract the 113.1, and I get 4.2. So my answer would be A. And some of you might be thinking, but that doesn't make sense. How is that cone have a bigger volume than that sphere? Well, if you look at the radius here, we have 4. This is only 3. And our height here is 7. And our height here would be totally different. It would only be 6. So it makes sense that this actually looks smaller, but it does have a slightly bigger volume because of the dimensions. Okay, let's look at number 7, which actually should say number 6. Okay. A cone has a base with a diameter, oops, let me scoot this up so there's no glare, of 10 feet and a height of 12 feet. What is its volume? Guys, this says diameter, right? We need the radius for our formula. So we've talked about how do you find the radius from the diameter. Well, if my diameter is 10, that means my radius is half of that, so that's going to be 5 feet. I'm going to draw a picture just so I can see what's happening. So I know my radius is 5 and the height is 12. So I can see this cone now. And I'm going to use this formula to find the volume. So I'm going to use volume equals 1/3 times pi times 5 squared, right? Times 12. Put that 5 in parentheses there. Okay, so I'm going to delete on my calculator. Oops, that's a weird glare. Focus again. So I have 1/3 times pi times, and I'm going to put in parentheses, 5 squared times the 12. So I took all of those values, I put them in the calculator. I know you can't see it because the glare is really weird, but it's 314 point. And when I zoom in on this, you can see I have a 1 and then a 5, right? So because this is a 5, I'm going to round this 1 up to 2. So 314.2 feet cubed. So again, all you have to know is where to put the numbers and then use your calculator. I promise you the quiz is going to be just that easy. All right, last question. We have creates a model of Earth using a styrofoam craft ball with a diameter of 18 inches. There's that word diameter again. If my diameter is 18, my radius is going to be 9 inches. Remember, we use radius for all of our formulas. So we're going to find the volume of that Earth, of that styrofoam. So again, we're putting the numbers in. Volume equals 4/3 times pi times 9 cubed. So when I use my Desmos calculator here, I'm going to do 4/3 times pi times, and I'm going to put 9 in parentheses, and then I'm going to use the a to the b so I can choose 3 as my exponent. Oh my gosh, you guys, I made a mistake. Write your answer in terms of pi. So I don't even need to put pi in part of my calculation. So I'm just going to take pi out of there. And then I have 4/3 times 9 to the 3rd. And I get 972. And I leave the pi in my answer. Right? It says terms of pi. So pi better be part of your answer. Pi does not need to be part of your calculation like I almost did. All right, now we're going to find the surface area. So surface area we talked about is how much would it take to cover it, right? So think of like wrapping paper on a gift or painting something if she's going to try to figure out how much paint she needs for that model of Earth. Again, we're going to write our response in terms of pi. And we know from the previous problem that our radius is still 9 inches. We're still using that same styrofoam craft ball. So surface area equals 4 times pi times 9 squared. And when I put this into my calculator, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to leave pi out. So 4 times 9 squared, and I get 324. So 324 inches squared. So that is your study guide. Like every study guide you've ever had this whole year, the actual assessment will be extremely similar. Okay? If you have any questions, maybe write yourself a note on the study guide, and then before the assessment tomorrow, we can talk about what questions you had. All right, thank you.